So successful entrepreneurs are called the 1% for a reason. Their lives are set apart from the world's standard and the world's average. And at first glance, the upsides of this 1% lifestyle must look insanely disproportionate. But along this journey, you'll realize something that you can't dismiss. And that is that God doesn't let you bring everyone to the top with you. Just think about your day ones, whether it be your childhood best friends, your family members, a brother or sister, or even a boyfriend or a girlfriend. Along the journey, as you continue to ascend and improve yourself, you'll realize that you have to accept this painful truth if you truly desire to unlock the next stage of your life. But in this video, I want to let you know that if this is you and you are at a stage where you are now accepting this truth, I want to let you know that you are not alone. And this part of your journey was actually part of God's plan for you. So in this video, we're going to be looking into the book of Genesis, and more specifically, the story of Joseph. Okay, so Joseph was the son of Jacob, or the son of Israel, because Jacob changed his name to Israel, and he was Jacob's favorite son. He was given a coat of many colors, even though he didn't necessarily earn it at the time. He was just chosen and set apart before he understood why. And this kind of relates to your lifestyle. Like, you didn't choose this desire to improve yourself and to get on self-improvement. It's almost like it's always been there within you, that you were destined for this to happen. And the reason why is that this is God's assignment for your life, okay? And later on, Joseph then had a vision. And in Joseph's vision, he interpreted his dreams to mean that his brothers would bow down to him, right? He had these visions, then he went ahead to tell his father, Jacob, and then he told his brothers, okay? His brothers obviously were enraged. Like, what do you mean we're going to be bowing down to you? You're the youngest. What do you mean that we're going to serve you? Like, are you trying to say something? What are you really trying to say? Okay? And then Joseph then told his father, Israel, and Israel was also kind of confused, but he didn't outrage like the rest of his sons. And if I were to guess, this is because Israel actually had faith and he actually understood how God operates, right? But Joseph's brothers became furious. He became jealous, and they wanted to blame Joseph for their lack of a dream, okay? So then they threw Joseph in a pit. They sold him into slavery, and essentially that's crazy. Like, Joseph was betrayed by his own brothers. It reminds me of that Drake quote where, I think it's the song Do Not Disturb. He's like, I'm a reflection of all of your insecurities. And that's kind of what it sounded like. Like, the youngest brother, Joseph, he's like, one day all of you guys are going to bow down to me. And then that was just a dream. But the fact that Joseph must have said that with confidence made the people around him, the people close to him, his day ones, so jealous and spiteful and angry. So this might happen in your life where your day ones or your close friends, they see that you're now on this journey, you're now improving yourself, and they're like, hey, you changed. You switched up. Why are you switching up on your day ones? And then maybe they even stop inviting you to certain events, maybe parties or get-togethers. But it'll get to a point where you don't necessarily care because you've already outgrown this circle, right? And you might think, okay, cool, Joseph just got betrayed by his brothers, he got thrown into a well, and then he got sold into slavery. But look, it gets worse, okay? And this is where you might be. You might be in the strange middle ground between your old friend group and the new friend group that you aspire to join. And you might think that it's just going to get better right away, but no, it actually gets worse if we're looking into the story of Joseph, right? So after he gets sold into slavery, Joseph arrives to Egypt as a slave. Then he's falsely accused by Potiphar's wife, I believe, or Potiphar, because Potiphar's wife wanted to sleep with Joseph. Joseph fled, and then Potiphar's wife lied on Joseph, and then he got sent to prison. And now Joseph is not only betrayed by his brothers, he got sold as a slave, but now he's not just a slave anymore. He's in prison. So when things look like they're going wrong and everything is falling down, it's almost like there's no proof that Joseph could see that the vision that God placed in his mind was still there, yet he still held faith. And this reminds me of a concept that Myron Golden talks about, and it's the fact that disruption follows intention. Let's say you have an intention in your life. You have a purpose that God has placed in your heart. It's not going to be all sunshine and rainbows until you get to this destination. The saying is disruption follows intention. So once Joseph was given the dream that he was meant to rule and his brothers were meant to bow down for him, and maybe you could relate to that, like you know that you're meant to live this 1% life. It's not going to be easy to get there. You have to do the work. You have to become the person. It's not just going to be instant. So you have to then shift your mindset. All these bad things that happen to you don't necessarily just happen to you, but they happen for you. Okay? So while Joseph is in prison, he interprets a dream of another prisoner, right? And then I believe this prisoner, or the interpretation was like, okay, so you're going to leave prison. And then Joseph was telling this guy, okay, don't forget me. Guy ends up forgetting. A few years go by and Joseph is left alone in prison. But then I believe the king had a dream and no one could interpret the dream until the guy who left prison with Joseph remembered that there's a guy in prison who could interpret dreams. So in prison, he was remembered for his talent, and then he was raised to the second highest seat in all of Egypt. And there's a lesson in that. The calling that you have on your life isn't the issue that your environment might make it seem to be. In Genesis chapter 50, verse 20, it says, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." That is so powerful, okay? So let's say the people around you, they're no longer inviting you to places. They're like, oh, you changed. They might even start turning their back on you. Although you try so hard, you show them the results. You want them to join this journey, but all they can do is hate on you for trying. And then they stop inviting you to places, and now you kind of feel alone. What Joseph says here in Genesis 50, verse 20, it says, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." When all these bad things are happening to you, it's not like God is asleep and he doesn't see these things. No. He is doing these things in your life so your character gets molded into the person that you're meant to be. If your position, if your calling is meant to be the second highest seat in all of Egypt, or maybe that 1% provider that provides for your family, provides for, I don't know, your future family and your loved ones, and you're able to do whatever you want, it's not going to be easy to do that, because let's say you have bad habits. Let's say you're not necessarily the person capable to take on that seat. If you didn't go through the struggle and the friction of your character, then once you got to that position, I don't think you would be necessarily a good fit. Okay? So you have to understand that separation is part of God's construction process. He will separate you from the world in order to mold your character and build you into the person who you need to be. It reminds me of the Bible verse, Romans 12, verse 2, and that says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you'll be able to test and approve of God's good, perfect, and pleasing will. What is the pattern of this world in this scenario? It's the fact that the day ones, the people closest to you, the people that you want to take up with you, are leaving you behind and excluding you, ostracizing you. But you're not meant to conform to that. You're not meant to be like, oh, now I'm alone. God, why are you doing this to me? It says, do not conform to those patterns, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Hold your faith. God placed that vision in your heart for a reason. So hold your faith, and then you'll be transformed by the renewing of your mind. How do you renew your mind? You set your minds on things above. Set your minds on things that are good, what is righteous, what is noble. And once your mind is set and then you're transformed, then you'll finally be ready to take on the new stage of your life. Okay, so in conclusion, God won't let you bring everyone to the top with you, because if your focus is on everyone else, then you'll have no time to focus on yourself. You need to have faith, which is placing your trust in what you can't see. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, although not seen. Have faith in what God is called upon in your life. And yeah, that's pretty much the story. So if you're in a position in your life where you feel like you're trying so hard to bring people to the top with you, but it's almost like it's impossible, just think back to the story of Joseph and understand that it's all part of the plan. Okay, I have a community which is a completely free community for Christian business owners who want to connect with other founders who are building on biblical principles without being unequally yoked. If you want to join that, the link to that community is in the description down below. And also, I have a private network, which is just my personal circle of elite Christian entrepreneurs. It is high ticket, and the application for this private network called Dreams of Genesis only exists within the free community. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, it means that this video impacted you and it actually touched you where you needed to hear. So we have a community of entrepreneurs who are waiting to connect with you to sharpen your character and build with faith. Without further ado, I appreciate you for watching this video, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Peace out.